Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. This is Bital. Before I start the session, I just want to record this and make a disclaimer that whatever I'm discussing or the presenters want to discuss are our individual opinions. It has nothing to do with our company or anything else. And this session is just for informational purposes, as many of you have asked me this question. So I requested one of my ex-colleagues, Sukanya. Sukanya, I will give her an introduction and I will ask her to introduce herself. But before that, I want to thank all of you, whoever have joined, and especially Sukanya. At this moment of the timing I know is very odd on a Saturday night, but this is what is working best for all of us. And those who are serious, I'm sure, are on this call. And those who are not, I think they can get the link of the video later on. So first, join me in welcoming Sukanya. Sukanya is a data scientist with TCS currently, and has worked for many Fortune 500 clients. And she was on one of my projects with CVS, and that's when I came across her. So before Sukanya introduces herself, I will just share her LinkedIn profile. So this is Sukanya. I don't want to pronounce her last name; it's too long for me. So I'll let her do that. So Sukanya, like everybody, I was surprised when Sukanya, I came to know that she had done her MBBS from India, then MPH from Masters Public Health from US, and then she kind of came to this data science field. So when I met her for the first time, I kind of had a discussion. After that, on the call also, we had a lot of discussion. So when many of you ask me about data science, even I don't know anything about data science, to be very honest. I just know that data scientists run some models and everything, but what they do, how they do, I have not much clue about that. So having said that, I will just hand over, to Sukanya, and then, we'll go over some questions which I got from a lot of people. And if you have any questions after this, we can have, Sukanya answer that. So over to you, Sukanya.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sukanya Pranatyageshwaran. That's my last name. So I'm actually a doctor from India. I did my bachelor's there. And I came for my master's in public health. I was very much interested in community medicine, and I was also very much interested in research. That kind of pulled me to come to US. So I went to Wayne State University to do my public health, and I had public practice and biostatistics as one of the majors, and went ahead and started working in clinical research. So I have written a technical part for most of the papers that was published from our sleep research lab. And I got to work with a biostatistician for my thesis, which was on racial differences in sleep apnea between different races, where I had used linear regression. And that was my thesis for my public health. And I went into clinical research, worked for 8 years, working with wide demographics, looking into different causes of sleep apnea and respiratory breathing. And then I stumbled upon data science. And then that kind of interested me because I felt the foundation that is required for model building stems from statistics. And since I had biostatistics background, that kind of pulled me into data science. I'm very much interested to know why it is happening, how it is happening. Even with research, when I used to do treatments, I'm like, why are we following this procedure? What makes us do this? How is the protocol coming up? And that is a basis for all of my questions. I wanted to answer the questions, and kind of data kind of helps me to answer those questions. That was my starting path. So I'm just continuing to find answers.
So Sukanya, having said that, like you said, you first had the experience of the business, and then that's what, pulled you to data science. So, many people ask me this question, like that, if I aspire to become a data scientist, should I focus more on the business domain or should I focus more on the technology? What would you say?
See, I would, when you want to become a data scientist, the term itself defines you. You have to know your data.
Okay.
So technology, I mean, it goes, I've built models in different platforms. I'm still learning the technology because you have to, it keeps evolving. Okay. But the basis and the foundation is you need to know your data well. So that is a starting path. You have to know a language where you're more comfortable with. I started off with R, and then I moved towards Python. You have to know the data better. And again, when you're looking at, you work in in congruence with your business analyst, with your subject matter expertise, because you will be working in different domains. And to be honest, you will not know much about different domains. You might be an expert in one while not in the other. I might be
Right.
expert in clinical and retail,
Mm-hmm.
but I shifted to transport and hospitality. And then I'm taking help from an SME there, subject matter expertise, to understand and to
Mm-hmm.
make sense of the data that I'm seeing. Because data
I
is the
see.
one it has to dictate what kind of model you're building and how it is
Mm-hmm.
feasible. Again, it is
Okay.
not one man army. You need to understand that many people, they go like end to end, I'm going to build. But in practical,
Mm-hmm.
Bital, it doesn't work like that.
Correct. I see. Yeah, agreed. Totally agreed. So, having said that, so when you say data, right, for example, there are many people who are data analysts, they have been doing a lot of SQL. They want to make a shift to data science. And some people ask me whether I become data engineer or data science. So somebody who has kind of, say, for example, a master's degree and 3-4 years of data analyst experience in India, after masters, what should they aim for? Should they go for data engineering and data science? And as a data analyst, what gives them the edge to go to data science or data engineering, in your opinion?
See, when you're doing an analyst position, you kind of do the first basic foundation as you do your exploratory data analysis, and then you're trying to understand what the data is telling you. So you're already you have cut down one short path, saying that, okay, how do I understand the data? The second is to answer your question better, like what interest you have. Do you want to find the answers, or do you
Mm-hmm.
want to provide a solution for the people to find the answers?
I see.
So if you're in a, if some people are motivated by technology, if you're in a data
Correct.
engineering world, yeah, that kind of motivates people. Like, no, I have to build these pipelines, and I have to do it fast. I have to do a unit test, and it is very rewarding. While in
Mm-hmm.
data science, it is like you laid brick by brick. You do first, you don't directly jump into building a model.
I
First, you
see.
try to understand what kind of data, because that is what I'm seeing in many industries is they do want to build data science models. They want to go for AI ML, but then we go ask, okay, what kind of data that you have? That is where we work in congruence with data engineers and understand, okay, this is what these are the different data I want. How can you give me? And
Mm-hmm.
then once you build the model, how we are going to stitch everything together. So
Together.
it is more like what you want to do, whether
Okay.
it is like you want to find the answers of, or you want to have the end result saying that, okay, this is what I have given the customer, or do you want to be a person to say that I want to be technologically motivated and I want to do this, then data
Mm-hmm.
engineering is a good field for you.
Okay.
But if you
So,
say that I want to go in depth and understand and I
mm-hmm.
want to provide answers, then
Mm-hmm.
data science is good for you.
Data science. So one question I often get, from data analysts, say that how much of reporting do data scientists do? Like, like for example, they have been doing Tableau or Cognos for 2-3 years now. When they want to shift to data science, other than models and all, how much reporting do you do?
I don't do reporting
Okay.
in the present way. I don't do
Mm-hmm.
reporting,
Mm-hmm.
but most of my projects were done in an agile way. So it
Okay.
is basically every day I do a stand up, and then I
Okay.
do a client presentation. Every week there is a
Mm.
client presentation saying that this is what we've done. And since I work like a consultant within a consultant company, so
Okay.
we have internal meetings that we go, okay, this is what we are building, this is how we do it,
Mm.
and then we take it to the client. So that is
I
how
see.
my work time goes around, but I don't do
Mm-hmm.
much of reporting.
And how much, what is an artifact that defines a success of a data scientist? Like, for data engineers, if you build the pipeline, the data is tested, data is available at the table, then the data engineering job is done. But how do you define a success for a data scientist? Like the deliverable is a successful deliverable. How do you define that?
So first, I think first you define it by building a very good model, getting a good accuracy, but that
Mm-hmm.
is not the end of it. That is just the first
Okay.
step.
Mm-hmm.
A very good model is how easily it blends with the different, how the ML ops itself is working, because you build a
Mm-hmm.
model which has to be incompatible with the configuration that the whole data architect, the solution architect has built. So
Mm-hmm.
it also depends on that. And second is it is your KPI, whether your
Okay.
model has reached, whether you're building the model for B2B or B2C, what is your KPI metrics?
Mm-hmm.
Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Is a customer happy? Is a client happy? So it is more like, say, data scientist is now emerging into a role where a lot of business and management comes into play, because you have to understand what question you're asking and whether you're providing an enough solution which generates a revenue. That is how as a data, I wouldn't say it is data scientist, it is the data scientist team has it achieved its scope. I would emphasize a point, it is a team. It's not an individual person.
Yeah. So when you work in a team, right? So you have junior scientists, senior scientists, mid-level data scientists. How do you distinguish the roles and responsibilities? Like, an entry-level person, generally people ask me that as an entry-level data engineer, what should I know? So I give them the answers. Similarly, if somebody is graduating from masters, and he wants to enter the industry, what are the bare minimum things he should know? And to grow in the ladder, like to become a mid-level data scientist and to become a senior data scientist, what should be the ideal path, and how should that person grow in life?
The seniority is actually dependent on what different kind of projects that you have handled. That is where it lies. When I look into a fresher, I
like for your example, your example, like when you transition into the industry from your background, what were the skills that you acquired and how you acquired? We'll come to the how later on, but what are the skills you acquired? And we will take it as a benchmark that, okay, an entry-level data scientist should know these bare minimum things.
I would say know your linear regressions and logistic regressions well.
Okay, linear regression and logistic
that is a basic.
Okay.
That is a basic, because when you don't, forget about going into the depths of supervised learning, unsupervised learning, going for parametric tuning, I know deep learning. I'm like, no, understand a linear regression well. If you're able to convince me with the equation what you're doing, then I'm sold. We hire you.
Okay.
But if you don't know what a linear regression and logistic regression is, and you come to me and explaining about deep learning, I will not hire you.
Okay.
Simple as that, because you've not understood
the basics. So for entry level, I think, many people, especially graduates, ask this question. So even for, data engineering, I say that, you should be knowing SQL, one visualization tool. So basically, now that reminds me, do you do some kind of visualization like Tableau reporting or MicroStrategy for presenting your results? Like, you might do some kind of PowerPoint, but do some kind of Tableau or, some any other tool for specific visualization?
See, most of the time, in my experience, when we projected to the client, I'm comfortable with Seaborn or Matplotlib. And I usually don't go for any visualization tools, because my center is to convey the message, what are the features that is affecting the model building, rather than going with the graphs. It is more like a simplistic model where I'm trying, because most of my clients, they know their output better than us, but I'm trying to tell them what are the features that is affecting their output. So that is where I would focus on, not on reporting. That is where I differ.
And also, this was for an entry-level data scientist. Now, to become a mid-level and to go to senior level, what would you recommend somebody? Like, for example, somebody is a data scientist working for 1 year. They are kind of stuck in, and they want to grow in life. So what is something that, they should, before, going to deep learning and becoming experts, what is a path? Like, I want to understand a path from linear regression, logistic regression to something, better. How would you, put a path for somebody who's new?
So what I would do is I would do many projects. Like I would go in for Kaggle projects. I would go in for competitions. I would try to participate in hackathon. I would go in with trying to try to provide presentations in conferences, having a meetups, doing a podcast. That would kind of distinguish you from another mid-level data scientist. And to a senior level data scientist is managing a team. Managing a team which has more than 2 or 3 data scientists with data engineers, and have good experience even with the solution architect level, because the solution architect that I'm working with, he's capable of building the whole solution end to end.
Correct.
So they are capable of doing it from A to B completely. That defines you, that you are a senior data scientist who has dibs on data engineering, who has dibs on DevOps, who can give you a guidance. Okay, this is my model, this is what it requires, and I need all these tools. That if you're able to convince your other technical members and try to build a solution, then you're a senior level data scientist. It is like sometimes a line merges as
So
you
when you
go,
start,
as you see.
correct. So when you spoke about, this tool set, right? So this question I often get, that what should a person ask me that I'm in my master's, I want to know whether should I do Python or do R, what will help me in data scientist, or should they do both? Or is it something that is dependent on the, company, what they choose as a language? What is your take?
To be very frank, Bitul, I started off with R.
R, okay.
Because R was extensively used among statisticians because it was an open source. And SAS, I had experience with SAS. And one of my friend was doing a PhD, and she told me about R. Hey, this is an open source, and you can download it and you can start doing it. But when I came to the market, that was a transition period because they were like deep learning was coming into the market, and PyTorch was there.
Okay.
So that kind of pushed me. Like I was working in Bayer, and there I had to implement one of the deep learning solutions, and they were extensively using Python. And I was like, okay, I got to learn Python. But I think once you're familiar with one language, picking up another language becomes easier. And that is, but now the industry, I think it is extensively using Python and PySpark. And if you're into deep learning, then they do PyTorch. So it kind of depends on which company you're working. Again, it is a team. It is not like you decide, okay, I want to do this in this way. So it depends on extensively, like within the company, within that business unit, what people are using. SQL is a must, even I would say, for a data scientist, because
any data project, right? Any data engineering, data science. Yeah, data is must, right? I mean, if you don't know SQL, data and SQL are like go hand in hand. So any role data, I think it's must. So having said that, I just got a question. Sukanya, somebody asked me that, what about a new data scientist aspiring with 10 plus of experience in other fields like dev, BA, QA? What level of knowledge, they can, what is expected? For example, today I have 10 years of experience in BA, QA. Today I want to change my role. I am, not satisfied with my Java role, .NET role. I want to get into data scientist. How can I use my 10 years of experience, as well as what should I learn additionally so that I can present myself as a data scientist?
In your experience, they would ask you, one thing is what is the reason for your transitioning, apart from trying to move away because I don't like the job. Rather than that, I would say that, okay, I've seen so much of data. I've been doing a lot of reporting. I would like to know what happens after the reporting. How is the business unit kind of, okay, if the sales has gone down, that is the report that I'm giving them. So what is the business going to gain from that? How are they going to find a solution for it? Then you can, I don't want to see, now I've seen the reporting part, now I want to move towards providing a solution part. Since I know the data, I know the features, I've seen so many attributes. I would say that there are so many attributes which I'm looking at reporting. I would want to learn, or I would want to see how this is affecting my model output. And I want to project, I want to increase the KPI index. I want to see the other part. Okay, I'm giving this report, the organization is seeing it, how it is responding to it, finding a solution. So I want to go to the other part.
So for example, I'm a .NET developer. I have 10 years of experience. I have been developing, I have been accessing SQL Server in, applications. I have seen the data. I know the data. Now, after I have built a lot of applications, now I want to, the story which I have, the data I have, I know the data. Now I want to infer more things. So if somebody, 10 years, they have done QA on a data set, or they have been a BA on a project, or developer, whatever data they have learned is actually an asset. It's now that, it's an asset. Now they need to know, all the basic things like linear regression, logistic regression, and other algorithms, coupled with, some projects, like you said, Kaggle projects and other projects. Then they can, they can show that, okay, my 10-year learning was not only specific to Java, .NET, but whatever data I saw, I know about that, and I can help you unlock business value from there. Okay. I think, this is very common question. Many people want to turn to data science, whatever reason. And like you said, people will ask this question, like, why data science? Why do you want to move out of Java? Why do you want to come to data science? So the why is important, and the how, I think you already mentioned. So, so regarding your first project, how difficult was it for you to get your first project, and what is that first project taught you?
The first project as a data scientist, I went into Bayer. The good thing for me was I had a very strong background in biostatistics, Bital. I love biostatistics. And my paper was on linear regression. So when the interviewer asked me the questions, I mean, your interview goes around what you tell, what you put on your resume. So be confident, whatever you're doing, putting it on your resume, make sure that you know about it. Correct. And they would want to understand, okay, even if you're telling them, okay, I know mean, what is the difference between mean, median, and mode? You have to be confident, like, okay, these are central tendencies, but why each is being used in different situations?
I see.
You have to understand the concept, and you have to be able to communicate that concept, because data scientist is just not a nerdy job anymore. It is going towards a management position where you're trying to give an explanation saying that why your model is important and what your model is saying, because building models helps you to understand your data much better. That is the reason why you start off, you don't build a model and you say, okay, this is it. You never are done with one model, but you understand, you learn from each model building process. So that is what I say, communication, but understanding the concept. Why are you using mean, median, and mode? What are the different scenarios that you're using it? If you have to understand that, that is the emphasis that I would give.
Yeah. So many of these people, ask me this question, like, is masters and PhD always required for a data scientist role? And like, you do a lot of hiring. What is your perspective? Like, do you always prefer people with masters and PhD, or do you give equal importance to people without these degrees?
Till now, I've actually interviewed people who have done their masters in US.
Okay.
In US.
In US.
In US, because again, when I was in India, I was not in IT field. I was a practicing physician. When I came here, again, I was in clinical research side. But when I'm here on an interview, when I interview candidates, most of the resumes that were given to me, they were all masters. Yes, masters. Okay. And in some of the companies, especially some of the American companies, they set up the bar as PhD. But again, the PhD is not something that you have to come from computer science and mathematics. PhD in any arena.
Any field, you mean any field?
Like, so for me, it doesn't make sense. What if PhD, you're coming from biological science background? And there are people who have transitioned. I have a couple of friends who have transitioned from biological science background. Don't take me wrong, they're doing amazingly well.
Yeah. For example, somebody is a cybersecurity person, right? He has been seeing a lot of cybersecurity data, network data. Now he wants to, join a product-based company who is building a, some kind of penetration related, modeling, whether your network is prone to hacking or something like that. His expertise in, 5 years expertise in cybersecurity or something can help that, company. So it's the data that matters. So that being said, many people ask me, am I a good fit to come to data science? Like, who should come and who should not come? Like, have you seen any traits in people that, these kind of people should not come to data science, like they are impatient or they don't love data? What would you say, like, who should not come to data science? Like, everybody wants to come to data science, but who should not come?
If you're hating math, okay. Think about it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say don't come. I would say think about it. And if you say that, oh, all the time I'm seeing numbers, I'm not, what is happening here, then probably choose another field.
I see.
If you are interested, we should always approach with the saying that why this is happening, what is happening, and never be reluctant to ask questions. Never think that, okay, are they going to think me I'm dumb or stupid? Never stop yourself from asking if you have questions, because in different domains, the nuances that you will not see in the data, you have to build features. Okay, it is not like that is another thing I want to tell you is, if you're going for any courses, they give you a set data. Even in Kaggle also, they give you a clean, to some extent, a clean data. Correct. But in industry, it is not like that. You have to tell them, this is the kind of data that I need to get. So for that, if you don't want to deal with that, then choose another field.
I see. So one question that I got again, how much cloud does one person, data scientist, need to know? Like, cloud is the buzzword, everybody's talking about cloud. So how, as a data scientist, what is your take? How much would you learn focus on a cloud platform versus an on-prem platform?
See, again, with the different platforms, with different services, what are the services that you are going to use? It depends on the organization. When I entered, cloud was very new. Like when in Bayer, they wanted to migrate from on-prem to AWS. That is when they started. But when I moved to TCS, when different clients, like I came to CVS, and there they were using Databricks. But the code is almost the same because your data engineers. In fact, I remember Bital, you helped me in setting up my laptop. So it depends. But if you're using PySpark or Python, the code is going to be the same as for data scientist is concerned.
Correct.
But now I'm working with one of my clients is Delta. So there we are using AWS and different services like serverless solutions that we are using.
Yep.
Yeah. So now that has become a big vogue now. Like, let's use serverless. There are many people are using serverless solutions now. So then for me, it is a learning curve because I have not used it before and it helped me to learn. So that is one good thing that is another criteria. It is emerging and keep changing field. You have to learn. If you're open to learn, then yes, you're in the right. If you don't want to get bored, you'll never feel stuck in data science.
Stuck in data science.
Yeah.
So one more question I've got, on my LinkedIn, I've got a question like, as a data scientist, what is your expectation from a data engineer? And do you expect something from a data analyst also?
I've actually always worked with data engineers in all my projects, and we rely heavily on data engineers in giving us a good data, especially with big data solutions. We want them to build the pipelines so that we get good data for building the model, and in production it becomes like a seamless solution. Otherwise, our model is heavily affected by it. Initially, when we are trying to build the database to build the model, we rely heavily on data engineers. And once we come up with a model and we are saying, okay, some features needs to be added. So there has to be some arithmetic calculations or aggregations or some transformations that needs to happen. We can do it ourselves, but we also rely on data engineers because we're not dealing with small data. We're dealing with huge data.
Huge data,
which most of the time you will be dealing with the production data. So we rely on data engineers for giving us a good pipeline to give the database, to generate the database, database.
Okay. So one more question that I have, that people, once you have deployed the model in production, does the data scientist role ends there? Or, is it like something like a after warranty that keeps on going? What is like a data scientist does when the production isn't, the model is in production? Do they offer some kind of warranties? What is it?
See, it actually depends on your organization because we don't end with one project. It is like one project begets another project. We see like we've analyzed so much of data, and when it goes into production, we see the responses and it is measured. Your metric is with your KPI. That is when your business analyst or management comes back and says, okay, your model is working, your model is not working. Actually, we're making more losses, or it is not required, or we are reaching the fatigability. And then you go back and you tune your model. And most of the tuning works because you just don't build a model and let it run for 3 months or 6 months. You always keep fine tuning the model till you get a better results. So it is never with respect to the project, it is a decision. It is a combined decision taken by the organization, also by data scientist.
Data scientist. Okay. So one last question that I have in my list, that cloud knowledge we discussed, right? Similarly, what is the basic difference between AI and DS? Somebody asked me.
Okay. See, with actually, I wouldn't say it is completely different because to understand artificial intelligence, you also need a kind of data science background also. But with artificial intelligence, it's a lot of math manipulative work that you're doing. Either you're building it yourself.
Okay.
That is the most important difference that I see here. But most of the solutions the projects that you employ with, like some of the machine learning algorithms that you can employ and you get a better result than with artificial intelligence. With artificial intelligence, it's more like robotics are being involved. So there you provide a lot of like manual solutions that is provided with artificial intelligence compared to DS. That is the difference I see.
Okay, so I got one more question. Somebody messaged, I think is Jayanti on the call. So I think, the set of questions I got from other people, I think it's over. So Jayanti asked a question on chat is like, how the DBA support is when we do different projects by connecting different DB, because you're a data scientist, you will connect to a lot of data sets, right? So it's a teamwork. So DBA mostly, restricted due to security. So for example, even if you're DBA, they're a DBA, but they cannot see all the data, right? I have seen personally that DBAs don't do select query, and they don't run, select queries. They just do their job of getting the data, setting up tables, infrastructure. So yeah, Jayanti, first let me tell you, thank you for a question. And since all the, previous questions of those who cannot join the meeting, they sent me ahead of time. So I'll request you to unmute. We have Vigneshwar, we have Anand, we have Lakshmi. Actually, Lakshmi requested me a couple of times, and I was busy, so I could not, set up this earlier. And this is the only time we got, because we both have families, kids, and we hardly get time. So this is the time we could do. So if you have any specific questions, you can ask directly and to Sukanya. And what I'll do is I have shared the LinkedIn profile for her. She does some kind of, she does take interviews from people, so she can get you, tips like, what should you prepare for? Like she mentioned, logistic regression, linear regression, SQL, I think is a must, Python or R, any language. And I think the data knowledge, which you said, right? Anybody knowing any specific data set, like be it airline domain, be it healthcare, retail, they can become a data scientist in that field. It's only that, they need to do some projects, mini projects. Sometimes you cannot even get internships, right? Nowadays, getting internships, people, paid or unpaid things comes up. So I don't know many people if they offer internships for, paid, but definitely you should try for internships also if you can get in a, data science project. So having said that, do you have any questions? Anand, Vigneshwar, who else is there? Jayanti, I see, I think Jayanti has some questions, good questions. Lakshmi is there, because a lot of you, have questions and you ask me and I don't know the answers, because even I am learning. So today I, got a lot of answers. I took some notes also. I'll try to publish that. But if you don't have any questions specifically, then we'll conclude this call. And what I'll do is for those who could not, hey, is it Anand?
I have a question. Yes.
Yeah, Anand, how are you, man?
I'm good, Vittal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hosting this. I have a question for Sukanya.
Go ahead, Anand.
How difficult is it to get into data science? I feel many people are, it's getting very bad. They are in very bad situation to get into cybersecurity. They are facing a lot more issues. So is it the same situation in data science as well?
This is from which country, Anand? Is it US or India?
I'm in US.
You're in US, okay.
Yeah.
See, to be honest, you will get calls. It depends on which companies you want to go to. If you are going for the FANG companies, then there are different levels of rounds that we need to clear. And they have a high standard bar. But if you want to break into the field, most of the time when you upload a resume or on LinkedIn or any of the websites like Indeed, there are many recruiters who always give you a call. They just look for the action words. They always give you a call. But it depends on you how you break the interview. I mean, there are times that my husband still gets called just because he's in diesel engine guy. He gets some buzzwords about team lead and he just gets a call. Hey, are you ready to do PRM? He's like, did you even read my resume? So something like that. You always get a call, but how do you take that call to the next level is in your hand. How well you communicate. Communication is a key here, especially when you are trying to communicate what you've learned. And you have to be, I always stem my questions around the projects they do. So you spend so much of amount and energy to build your own project. And if you're not able to answer the basic questions from your project, then I doubt whether you have done the project or not.
So Sukanya, like to add a question, with what Anand asked, like, 2020, there are a lot of data science jobs that got impacted, right? A lot of layoffs happened and a lot of free hiring got frozen, especially, my company also, I know different companies, I know that stopped hiring for data scientist role, data engineers, all the data kind of roles kind of got stalled. How about in 2021? Like, do you see a lot of data science hiring resuming across the spectrum, or just few companies are hiring? Like cybersecurity, yeah, cybersecurity only few roles we have, right? Is this the same scenario like in data science now as compared to 2020?
I'm seeing a lot. I'm doing a lot of interviews actually with respect to data science, and sometimes I also do interviews for data engineers in TCS. So, and the way the clients are demanding to have more intelligent solutions has increased. Many small companies, they want to have very good intelligent solutions because they are competing with many retail big giants, but they firmly believe to have an intelligent solutions, sustainable solutions. So I see there's a lot of hiring happening actually, at least this year. And with this COVID situation, not many people are more open from working from home. They don't want to relocate. So it is like opening avenues for many people who are not in a position to move places, because we all have families rooted here now with the kids and all. So it is actually making it more open for people who not able to move also to come back to the workforce. Yeah.
So one more question, Sukanya. Anand, does it answer your question? First thing.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. So one more
Good
question
luck,
I got. Yeah. So one more question I got. Go ahead, Anand.
I'm in cybersecurity field, so I just wanted to know: is it the same scenario in the data science as well? So cybersecurity, it's like they're asking about cloud penetration testing, GRC, policies and procedures. So it's a lot. So is it the same thing in the data science as well? That's the reason I asked.
Yeah.
See,
so
it depends what you put on your resume, Anand.
Correct.
That is what I would say. What you put on. See, now when I entered the market, deep learning was optional. Okay, but now deep learning is a must. NLP was optional. Now deep learning and NLP goes hand in hand.
But I heard about BERT. Many job descriptions I was seeing people should be knowing BERT. I don't know what that is, but so one question I got. We are running out of time. So somebody asked me that he is into product analytics, and is there something called product DS roles also? Have you heard of anything like that?
I'm not into
product. Yeah, okay. Because even I have not heard of something called
I've not heard of product analytics,
product DS role.
Actually.
Yeah, product analytics. Yeah, it's product. Yeah, so yeah, I think that I'll let.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to answer that.
That's okay, Sukanya. I think we have taken whatever questions I had. I think you answered all of them. I'm just trying to see if I didn't miss anything else, so that I can share this. And yeah, I think I'm pretty much good. Sukanya, on behalf of everyone, if nobody has questions, I would like to thank you once again. Saturday night, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. for you in Eastern time zone. I know with kids, it's pretty difficult, but I really want to thank you for hosting this.
Thanks.
If somebody, now I'll just, I'll put a post, I'll, maybe upload this somewhere and I'll tag you. So when I tag you, you will get a lot of questions. I'm sure people will send you questions in your inbox. You can send them the video and have them see this first before they keep asking questions, because people keep asking me, and I know I repeat the same things. That's why, maybe I'll also do some video in data engineering and I'll keep sending them, but first see the video, invest your time, 45 minutes. We are sharing whatever we have learned. It's not something that, we are reading a book and telling you whatever we have learned in 10, 11 years, or, we're trying to share that. If they can go through that, then you can answer their questions. And I'll request you, if you can upload your resume. So Sukanya, if you can upload your resume somewhere on a profile, a LinkedIn profile, so somebody can see and they can try to understand, that what are the things and they can try to learn from that. For example, if if you put regression and all those things, they will know that, okay, as a data scientist, Sukanya knows these things and does these things. So they will have a picture of what to learn. Like sometimes I also think I will update my resume and upload. So if people don't ask me, that what skill set should I have? So I'll request, because after a couple of days, I'll tag you and people might, question you like, hey, Sukanya, can you please help me? I have this skill set, how to transition. So maybe you can, resume can help them to answer those questions.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you joining. Have a good day. Bye-bye. And anybody in
Thank
India,
you.
bye-bye. Good night and good day. Bye-bye.
Good day. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.